Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us this Monday night right after Thanksgiving. I hope you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I'm your host, Reverend Raven, and tonight we are in for a treat. We're having a beautiful soul by the name of Debra-a-k-Thompson on the show tonight, who has not only listened to her inner self and listened to God and created something fabulous that she's been sharing with the community for over 20 years. But she's also written a book, which we hope to be passing out this evening. One lucky listener is going to win a copy of her book. It's not out yet. As soon as it gets released, I am getting a copy of it, and I am going to be sending it to you. So the details will go in about that. But without further ado, I'd like to welcome our guest, Miss Debra-a-k-Thompson. Hello, Deborah.
Hello there. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I love your voice.
Well, thank you very much. I am just so excited to be on the show with you tonight and to have the opportunity to speak to all of your listeners and the Skypers and the computer people and the telephone people like myself tonight.
That's right. Deborah, we tried to get Deborah to come on through the computer so she could see what I post on here and stuff like that. But unfortunately, we just couldn't get it. We tried. We get an A for effort.
We get an A for effort because we did try.
Yes, we did. So, Deborah, I'd like to share the story about how you and I crossed paths so I could have you on the show. But I want you to tell listeners first a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, my name is Debra-a-k-Thompson. I'm writing under the name of Debra-a-k-Thompson. And I am actually a native of the Tampa Bay area, was born and raised in St. Petersburg, Florida. My husband and I, we moved away after we got married, about a year or two after we married, and we moved to Tallahassee, Florida, and then on to Pensacola, Florida, where we lived for about 28 years. We raised our children there, built a family, worked in the community, and then we had an opportunity to come back to the Tampa Bay area about 6 years ago, and here we are. And in the interim, I've done a number of things. I've worked with the Gospel Songwriters Music Workshop. That was a workshop that really God gave me to work on and to help inspiring or aspiring songwriters like myself to learn how to take their music and move forward with it, whatever that might mean. And then also I work with a number of magazines and other newspapers and written articles for other things. And now I'm in the area of my life where now I'm writing some books that I have been working on for many, 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 many years, but now I'm actually bringing it to fruition.
And I love it, too. I had the pleasure of reading a part of your book, and I couldn't believe how well that your words had taken me in. Great visualization process was going on. I was trapped, and I couldn't set the book down. The chapters I had.
I am so happy to hear it. I am so happy to hear it. Now, I'll tell you something, Reverend Raven. I'm trying not to get too excited and talk too much because I get over excited when I start talking about things that I'm doing and things that, I feel like God is doing in my life and things that I'm sharing. I get really excited, so I have a takeover spirit. So I don't want to do that either. I want to be able to listen as well as answer the questions and flow with whatever you're doing. I want to be able to do that and move in the moment. So.
And that's great. And you know what? The good thing about your vibration, that excitement, it will go across the airways and allow other people to feel your excitement, right? And yes. and it's one of those things that it passes on. That's a beautiful gift you have because it gets other people excited about doing something.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm excited, and I have been most excited to meet you. It has been my pleasure to get to know you. And I tell you, it is interesting how we had an opportunity to cross paths and now to meet. We actually had a chance to meet in person, which was so unexpected.
Yes.
But that's just the way that, God does things.
That is so true. So here's the story about how I got to cross paths with Deborah. Several months ago, I took a new position. I've told many of you guys that listen to the show that I took a position with a company called Care Ride, who does DART service. That's transportation. That's called demand response transportation, allowing people with disabilities of all types to be able to be transported to any location they want. That is our right. When there's public transportation offered in an area, everybody has a right to be able to get to wherever they need to go. So that means that people that are visually impaired, that are deaf, that are physically or mentally handicapped get to participate and go in this program. So I met both your sisters.
Yes. Both of my sisters, two of them.
Two of them.
Right.
Yes, I did. So, but your sister, is it Beverly?
Yes.
Beverly. She was like the catalyst for this. She's like, you got to meet my sister Deborah. She loves to do things, and she's out in the community, and she's really helping people, and she's exactly what you want. Well, I was looking at your website for the Gospel Songwriters Workshop, and It looks like she sings too.
She does, and she's also a songwriter, as well as my mom, and all three of my sisters, myself. We all write songs and we all sing. And we started singing, my mother, she has actually a very, very beautiful voice, a very anointed singer. And we, as children, we started singing. She had us in a little group as children, and we used to sing at the church services at BTU. For those of you who might be in the Baptist Training Union, know something about that. We used to sing. My grandmother had us singing, and we just sort of grew up there doing some singing, and it just branched off into writing and other things as we grew up. So, yes, if you look at the website, you'll see that my sisters are there. My mom is there. I have a brother-in-law who likes to write. I have nephews who write and play music. So we're kind of a very musical family.
And your other sister that lives in St. Petersburg, not too far from your mom, her name is Cheryl, right?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
And she sings as well.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to get her to sing in the car with me.
So, yes, we do. We love to sing, and many times when we get together, we're always around that piano, and, we're singing songs, and we're just making a lot of joyful noise. I'm going to say it like that. We have a great time. Mm-hmm.
Well, tell everybody what, because your two sisters, they do ride with me. That means they have a disability. What is y'all's disability?
We have a visual disability.
A visual disability.
Yes. We have a visual disability. And so we have been very, very blessed. I think something like DART is really, really good, that allows individuals who have whatever that disability might be to be able to have transportation to get to and from destinations that they have to go to. So both of them, as well as myself, we have visual disabilities. But in all of that, God is still so good. He's allowed us to do many, many things, and I just feel so blessed that I have the family that I have, and, that none of this stuff stops you from doing or being whatever it is that God, the Creator, whoever it is that you believe in, allows you to become. He doesn't stop you. It can't stop you from doing whatever it is that God has for you to do. And I think that that's the main point of the book that I have written. We have, and I guess you're going to introduce that, but that
Yes.
was part of the story, to be able to tell that no matter what it is, we all go through things in life. We all have lessons that we have to learn, and sometimes it takes us a little bit longer than it does at other times to learn the lessons. But one thing that we do know, that we must learn the lesson before we move forward to the next thing.
Yes, I'm really amazed with you three. I don't know the fourth sister, but the three of you, you have this visually impaired going on, which you don't seem to see. It doesn't even hinder you guys from doing what you guys went on. One of you works for the Board of Education, the other one works for the judicial system, and then the other one is an author and head of the Gospel Songwriters Association. How amazing is that?
Well, it is very amazing, and it's only by the grace of God, I think, that we're able to do all of the things that we're able to do. And I think it just lets, me know, as well as maybe other people know, that there's nothing too hard that you cannot do. If you put your mind to achieve it, if you think it, you can do it. And so that's what it's all about, that we don't have to be stopped by the obstacles in our life. Things that other people may see as an obstacle is a stepping stone for you to become what it is that you're intended to become. And so I think that's what it's all about, finding what that is and making it happen. Not, as my friend always used to say, not trying to find a way not to make it happen, but find a way to make it happen. And that's what we have to do. And that's what I'm all about, making it happen.
And your book really goes into detail about that. It lets you know, and when people read your book, they're going to be able to relate to that. And I'm jumping ahead of myself because we're going to talk about the book and stuff like that, but I want to talk about the Songwriters Association. You've been doing that for 20 years.
Correct. For about 20 years. We started the workshop in 1994. And it really started as a way I was trying to find, as a songwriter, I had been really given songs for many, many years. I did not recognize the gift that I was really being given. And I sort of do, as many of us do, I thought about it, but I was very lazy with it and would do nothing about it. But it came to a point at which I began to recognize and started trying to work on it. But I did not know what to do with it. And I went to my pastor at that time in Pensacola, and I was telling him about what I wanted to do. And I did not know of anything quite like the workshop that I wanted to do, which was to help individuals who might be aspiring or veteran songwriters as well, who did not know what to do with those songs that they were being given. How do you get it to someone? How do you perfect those songs? Where do you go with it? How do you get other people to listen? And those kinds of things. And so he encouraged me, to begin to sort of pull that together. And that's where the birthing of that happened there at our little church there in Pensacola. And so, like I said, I've learned so much. We've been able to bring in individuals to come and work with us as songwriters, individuals who are singers, individuals who play instruments, but they want to learn more about their instrument. So we've been able to bring a lot of those things together and help individuals to learn more about the music, learn more about the business, and maybe find themselves a little bit more and define where they want to go with the gift that they have been given. So that's what the workshop really is all about, is to help individuals to move forward in whatever that gift is that they have, to help you begin to put it together and say, okay, I want to go in this direction. Because sometimes it's not that we're all going to be national artists.
Right.
Sometimes it's just being a local yokel. I call it a local yokel, where you sing in your community, or you go at the nursing home and you sing, or you write songs for someone else. Or maybe it's just that you're doing it for your own personal edification. Maybe it's to help your church ministry. So there are many ways that we can use the gifts we have. Sometimes we think that, God is giving us the gifts so that we can become famous and we can become, another big-time singer, but sometimes that is not the way that he's directing us. If it is, that's a great thing, but if it isn't, then we need to know what it is and make the best out of what he's given us at the point where we are.
I agree with you, and I love the fact that you have a supportive community, and that's what, being a service is always about, is being supportive to one another.
Absolutely. It certainly is. And we have had many, if you go to the website at www.gospelsongwritersworkshop.com, you will see through the years we've got lots of stories about individuals who have come to be with us, songs that have been presented through the years, and I tell you that we've had some of the greatest songs that you may never have heard of. Some of your audience members may have never heard of, but they're beautiful songs. They're inspiring songs. There's singers out there you may never have heard of, but these people can sing and they can minister a song. We have poets who have come, to our workshop. So it's, musicians who have come and imparted, that knowledge to us. So there are many ways, I think, that you can share what it is that you have, the talent that you have, the gift that you have, and then you can share it with others. And I think that's what I like to do and I want to impart, is that we're sharing it with others and we're trying to build up and help others through what we do. And that's what I think the workshop is all about, building up. And we've also helped young people to attend camps, music camps, so that they can build themselves up in the band or in the chorus or whatever. So we've helped to pay for those kinds of things. And I would love to be able, to help some young person who is interested in pursuing their music, to maybe even help them get some instruments, that they might not otherwise could afford. So we'd like to be able to do some things like that. So, we're just about helping people and moving those individuals forward in what they're doing.
So when you were living in Pensacola and you started this, were you not working for a publication at the time?
Yes, I was doing some writing for a magazine that is called the Gospel Express magazine. That was really kind of an interesting story, too, and I do talk about that some in the book as well. And I was doing some writing. I actually met the young man through a mutual friend, and he started the magazine. His name was K.D. Logan. And he started the magazine, and so I myself wanted to do some writing, and at the time I did not. I have been a writer for many years, but not on any type of professional level. I just enjoyed doing it. And so I said, well, maybe I would like to try my hand at writing a few articles, and maybe this is a way for me to do it. Give some time to the Gospel Express magazine. He needed some writers and some editors and other things. So I decided to give some of my time for that. And I started writing some articles. They were unpaid, but it gave me an opportunity to write some things and then to see if people really liked what I wrote about, and if it really moved people and if it was of interest. So it gave me an opportunity to really do something on that level. And that's how I got involved in writing with the Gospel Express magazine. And then before I knew it, I was actually managing and running the magazine. He left it and put it in my hands. He was a military person, and he got assigned to a different place. So he actually ended up leaving the magazine in my hands to run in his absence until he returned to Pensacola. And so I ran that magazine for about 3 years. And in the interim, I learned, of course, not only about writing, but I also learned about editing, and I learned about printing and publication and about sales. And
wow.
I tell you, you just never know what what God gives you to learn, but you have to be open, because everything that he takes you through is an opportunity to learn something that you're going to need later on in life. You just never know what you're going to need as you go forward. So I'm thankful that I had an opportunity to do that, because it taught me a lot of things that now I'm able to use in writing this book. So, yeah, that's where it started.
Now, this is a question for people that follow their passion like you do, and went into doing the Gospel Workshop. How were you financially? Has somebody ever asked you that question? When you follow your dreams, was there any struggles with it, coming to pass?
Yes, absolutely. There's some financial things. A lot of the things that I do, it comes out of my pocket in order to support it. Sometimes I get individuals, not like with the magazine, we were able to get advertisers. We would go out and do sales. That's how I learned about doing actual sales and getting companies to take ads in the magazine. And but sometimes even with the workshop, we got individuals to donate, because I do have a nonprofit. It is the Gospel Songwriters Music Workshop, Inc., and it is a nonprofit organization, so we do get donations from individuals and individuals who sponsor our workshop. But that prepared me to go out and begin to talk to people and ask people, to support us. So I think I see how all of those things work together for me to be able to do it. But many times I did not always have the money just from sponsorships and from ads. Sometimes I had to take money out of my own pocket in order to make these things happen and make them, do what they needed to do, and to be a blessing. But I always know that whatever it is that I do, if you give it to God, he always gives you back more. And out of all of that, I have never been short. I've never fallen slack on the things that I had to do. Not saying that I've had everything that I've always desired to have, but I've always had everything I needed. And I think that that's the most important thing. Sometimes we think we need more than what we really do, but I've always had the things that I've needed. And so that's what I think that he has taught me out of many of the lessons, that when you give to him, he always gives back to you. He gives me in ways that I can't even begin to say, how much I have been blessed, because I've met people like yourself. We just had an automatic connection, people that I needed to help me, to move forward in things. I might not have ever met them on my own, but because of...
Oh, let me unmute you. Hold on a second. We had little technical difficulties and it went into mute. There you go.
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah, you're back.
Okay, but I'm just saying all of that to say that, the things that sometimes we feel like we're giving and giving and giving, and we're not getting what we think we deserve. But if we begin to look at how God blesses us, he gives us exactly what we need, when we need it, for whatever it is that we need it for.
Right.
And that's the thing that I see out of everything I do. Sometimes he puts people in our lives, and they're there for a purpose and for a reason. And sometimes, as I've heard one of the ministers say, and I can't even say who said it, I'm quoting someone, but to say that some people are there for a season, they're just there for a little while. Some people are there for a reason. They have a specific reason, and then they're there and they're gone. And some people are there for a lifetime. Some friends you have, they're there for a lifetime, and other people are there just for a specific purpose. But whatever that is, you have to glean whatever it is that you need to glean from it and then move forward. And that's what I'm so glad about. And I'm glad I had the opportunity, to meet you. Who would have known that I would have met you, Raven, through my sister who was riding in your car?
I know, right?
You're taking her someplace, and then she says, "Oh, do you know my sister? I want you to meet my sister. My sister does this." Well, she didn't. She calls herself my unofficial manager, which she is. She's always one who pushes me in things that I do. And I thank God for it. She's not paid to do it. She just believes in whatever it is that I'm doing. And I think that, we get those kinds of people in our lives who just push us and encourage us, when we need it. And sometimes we have to know how to accept it. So, when I talk with you on the telephone and you said, "Hey, I've got this radio show, and and I heard your sister told me you're doing this and you're writing a book." I'm like, wow. I need to be able to talk about my book and tell people about this book that I've written, and how am I going to do that? And here the door opens for me to be able to do it. I mean, I couldn't have done that on my own. I would never have known how to meet you, but this was an opportunity that was just presented.
I
nothing that I
totally
did.
agree. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
totally agree because, I started working and I'm like, I said to God, if you want me to continue doing this radio show, you're going to have to send me guests because I don't have time to go out and look for them.
Mm-hmm.
And there it is. Here it is.
That's it. There it is.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it is absolutely amazing. So, so like I said, I've done many, many things in my life. Some of them I've had to stumble through. Others, it seems that I've, done, and I'm like, oh, wow, I got it. I get it. And sometimes it's, I don't get it right away. But that's what the book, and I'm just bringing it back to the book, which is called Enlightenment, and it's looking back to move forward. And the title of the book, it just came to me talking about how we become enlightened in our lives, and many times, when we get that aha moment, as I like to say, Oprah is the one that I got that word from, and she says that aha moment. Well, that's that moment of enlightenment when we finally understand what it is we were supposed to understand from the beginning. We just didn't get it. And sometimes we just keep going around and around and around until one day, something just hits us. That light comes on and we say, oh, my God, now I understand. I know absolutely. Man, why didn't I know that sooner? And so it's just that aha moment that we have. And sometimes we got to look back at those lessons in order for us to move forward in our lives and to become what it is that we're ultimately going to become.
Amen. I totally agree with you there. So we've opened up the discussion about the book, Enlightenment. I want to talk
back. Mm-hmm.
Looking back, exactly. And I when I was reading, I don't even know what part I was reading from in the book, but I was reading some of it, and I love the story where you talk about how you you wanted to play piano,
right?
And then you didn't stick with it.
I did not.
And then you got married, life got in the way, you got married, you had a kid, and the kid says, I wanted, they were offering music lessons at a daycare.
Correct, at the daycare where my son was attending. And someone came in and I guess asked the director about doing piano lessons there. And my son was one of the children who and he was about 4 years old or 5 years old at the time. and he said, I want to take piano lessons. And he, along with several other children at the daycare, wanted to take these lessons, piano lessons. So that's how we sort of got the piano back in our house and our lives again. I had taken piano lessons as a child a little bit, but I wasn't very faithful, as most children aren't. And then as I got to be an adult, I was really disappointed with myself that I never continued, and I never really learned how to play. I knew a little bit about the scales, but I didn't know enough to really do anything, just enough to be dangerous. And so I just let life get in the way, as we sometimes can. But my son says, Mommy, I want to take piano lessons at the school. And I said, okay, well, that'll be great. And he started taking these piano lessons at the school, where that prompted us to buy this piano at the house. And so we got the piano at the house. And then once the lessons finally discontinued over a summer, and then when it was planned to start back up in the fall, it never occurred because they couldn't get enough children to do it, but my son still wanted to do the lessons. And so the young lady says she would come to our house and teach him lessons. And so that's how I got involved in taking piano lessons again. So something I dropped, many years before, it came back around again. And so I started
because
doing
you were meant to do it.
I'm sorry?
You were meant to do it.
Well, that's it. I think that's so true. And, so we were able to go ahead and start doing it. Now, I tell you the funny thing about the book that I have written, and as people will find out, I used fictitious characters in the book. The stories are true stories. They are absolutely true. However, I did use fictional characters in order to tell the story. And my character, who is the main character of the story, her name is Taffney Johnson. And Taffney is the young lady who tells all of the stories and goes through all of the experiences in the book. And her life is basically a mirror of my life. And
why did you choose to do it that way?
Well, I'll tell you what happened. As I began to work on the book and start working on the characters, I originally started using actual names of...
Oh, Lord, hold on a second. There we go. I don't know why it keeps muting, but I unmuted you again.
Okay.
So you started using fictional characters in the book that related to you.
Right. I started originally. I was using the original names of everybody in the book. However, as I was working on some of the stories, because some of the stories are back from my childhood, back when I was in grade school, and many of those individuals I could not remember their names. I was like, okay, I could think of a first name, but I couldn't think of a last name, and some people I just couldn't even remember their names at all. So I didn't want to create some characters and just give them names, fictitious names, and then have others with real names. So I decided that I would go ahead and just give everybody a fictitious name. Yeah, so that's why I did it. I just couldn't remember. And the point of the stories really were not to talk about as much the individual people, as much as it was to tell the stories about what my character Taffney learned through the individuals that she had opportunity to meet and come in contact with. So it is the telling of the stories and the lessons that she learned from those experiences, and not so much to remember their names, even though they were important. The names, a person's name is important, But as you know, as you get older, sometimes you don't remember names as well.
Yes.
You know.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah.
Only the ones that burn the hole in your heart do you remember their names.
Do you remember their names? And so I thought, well, I don't want to name some people and not name other people, so I just gave everybody a fictitious name.
Well, how clever is that? That is awesome.
Well, I'll tell you what, hopefully, I have done the people that I talk about justice in my telling of the story. However, it is my story. Taffy is telling the story, and I think that the only thing you can do is share what you have learned through the interaction with the individuals, and you can share, the things that you have learned through the things that you have gone through. So, so that's I think the whole gist of writing a book is to be able to share with individuals things that you have learned that hopefully, they can recognize in themselves or for themselves, and maybe it will help them in some way. I think some of the stories are very humorous as you read them, and some of them are, I think they are very, I think they'll make you think. I think some of them will make you think, stop and think. And I think some of the stories make very good points. And hopefully it is a point that people who read the book will recognize and can think about it and maybe apply it to themselves or to their lives. So that's what it's all about.
Pick the fictitious name for yourself.
I'm sorry?
I was wondering how you picked a fictitious name for yourself, Taffy.
Well, Taffy, how did I pick that name?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I think it was a name that it just came to me because I did know a young lady many years ago, and her name was Taffy, and I liked the name. So I don't think I know anyone else with the name of Taffy, but she was a young lady from my youth that I knew. She didn't even live in our city. She came to visit our town. She was a cousin of one of our neighbors. I think that's how it was. And I liked the name, and so it just came back to me, and so I just picked the name Taffy because I thought it was just a nice name. And so, like I said, some of the names of the individuals, they probably don't relate at all to who the people really are, but I think that it kind of speaks to, I guess names that I liked in individuals. So I tried to think of names that I thought were really good names and strong names and names that would represent something positive in what it was that I was learning from the individual. So rather than just the name of the individual. So that's how I picked them. I didn't have any real rhyme or reason. Some people do pick names because as I was reading, some people do pick names that I guess because they say, well, it has a certain meaning, and so they'll pick a name because it has a specific meaning, or they may pick a name because they like the name. They may pick a name. I guess it's just different ways that you can pick names, and I guess that's how our parents name us. They probably name us because they name us after someone that they may have known, or it might be because they just like the name. Maybe they just made up a name. They put two names together and made a name. Or it may have a specific meaning, and they picked the name because of that meaning. So I think that there are many ways that we can pick names, and I guess that was just the way in which I went about picking names for my characters.
I gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you a personal question. And you don't have to answer it if you don't want to or not. But I find with people, with their beliefs and everything, there comes a time in life where there's rebellion against it. Did you ever have that experience ever growing up?
I think at a certain point, yes, I did. I think I'm probably like every other individual. When I was, as a matter of fact, I didn't write about this in the book, but probably in some later book that I'm working on, I probably will end up telling this story, but I'm going to tell it now. I know when I was about 17 or 18 years old, and I was getting ready to graduate from high school, and I wanted to go off to college. And when I got ready to, I told my mom and my dad I wanted to go to Tennessee State University.
Oh, right.
Yes, I wanted to go to Tennessee State. And so I filled out the application. I, of course, got in contact with the school. I had taken, the SATs and all of this, and I got the application, filled the application out, and put it in the envelope and got it ready to mail off to the university so that I could, apply, and I felt like I would be accepted to this university. And so my dad was going to mail the letter for me, and I gave I'm going to tell you the story, and then I'll tell you what happened. But anyway, I got it all prepared, put a stamp on it and all of this. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, I kept waiting and waiting and waiting, and I was trying to figure out, well, why is it taking them so long for anyone to get back in contact with me to, let me know that I've gotten accepted or I didn't get accepted or whatever happened. And so I kept waiting on, some response, and I got in contact with the people, and they said, well, they had not received it, but it was probably in the group of, applications and so forth. But anyway, in the interim, I had told my mom, because, of course, we had to go to church every Sunday day, Sunday night. We went to youth services. We had to sing in the choir. We had to be on the usher board. When the church doors opened, we were there.
Right.
And so I was at the point, I'm like, okay, when I go off to college, because I'm going to be in a different state, I'll be in Tennessee, I won't be in Florida, and I won't have to go to church anymore because I won't have anybody there to make me go to church, and I'm not going unless I want to go. And that was my attitude. And I said to myself, I'm saying this all to myself, yes, and I'll be away from my mom, and she won't be able to make me go because I will be on my own, and I won't have anybody to tell me to go to church. Well, as I would think life would have it, I kept waiting. I never got a response from the university, and I accused my father. I said, well, Daddy, are you sure you mailed my letter? I said, because, I filled it out. I did all of that. And he says, well, if you gave it to me, yes, I would have mailed it. And I said, okay. And I waited. And, well, anyway, in the meantime, time was passing. I graduated, hadn't heard from the university. So I decided, well, I'm going to go to technical school. And I decided to do that. And then I said, okay, well, I guess I haven't gotten anything, so I'm going to go to the junior college in our city. Mm-hmm. And I went ahead and went to the junior college. Well, before I finished junior college, by this time I'd met this guy, and we got engaged and ended up getting married. Well, in the interim of us, getting married, and we got an apartment, well, I had to clean out my room. So I ended up moving the bed where I was sleeping so that I could get the furniture out of the room. Well, guess what I found behind the bed, leaning up against the wall, sitting on the what do they call that? The board, the little border around the wall at the bottom of the floor.
The baseboard.
The baseboard. It was standing up against the baseboard, right on top of the baseboard, just standing there, was my letter with the stamp on it, and it had never been mailed.
Oh, no.
And I said to myself, well, by that time, I was really, of course, back in the church, loving to sing, all enthused about it. And, all of this, I had gotten my zeal back and everything. And so by the time God allowed me to find that letter, well, I didn't want to go to Tennessee State anymore. And I said, wow, that is amazing, that I would find this letter, so many months, almost a year after, there it was there the whole time. But I thought it had been mailed and they just didn't respond or whatever happened. I couldn't figure out what happened. But I said, okay, well, that must have been God and his infinite wisdom trying to tell me you didn't need to go away to Tennessee because you were going to get out of hand if you got up there, because you were going to probably try to get away from me and run into other things that maybe you didn't need to run into. I don't know whether that was the case, but I'm going to say it was the case. And so it just gave me a chance to, get myself back grounded in what I know that I really believe in, because I know that there is a greater power, and I know that he helps direct us and, gives us the things that we need and that excitement. We go through things, but, that spirit is always there to help us and to guide us if we would just allow ourselves the opportunity to listen. So that's just one of those things that happens. I didn't write about that specifically, but that was another enlightening moment for me, to recognize that, I probably was going to be heading in a different direction had that not happened. I don't know what the direction would have been, but I can say that I'm thankful for the direction that I was able to go in.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Because, so many of the people that are waking up and feeling that spirit within their heart have all been in situations like that. And I like people to know that they're not alone.
Right. Absolutely. You're not alone. Somebody else is going through the same thing. And, but it's a good thing sometimes just to be able to share and to hear, that somebody else is going through it just as you're going through it. And, that, it's not the end of the world, but it is something for you to learn and to grow. And I think if you begin to take it and say, okay, what am I supposed to learn from this? What is it that you're trying to teach me? Okay, life, what is it that I'm really supposed to be doing? And I think if we delve into it from that direction, I think then, we're fully able to understand and figure out what it is that we're supposed to do. Because many of us, we don't know what it is that we're really supposed to be doing. We're just kind of wandering around and figuring out, why is this happening to me? Am I the only one? Nobody else is going through it but me. Woe is me. And then you find out that, hey, everybody else has it going on too.
I know. I can relate to the story where you go and you take the piano lessons from the young lady, and then all of a sudden she's getting married and you're left astray.
Right.
And Mr. Sams comes into your life.
Into my life, yes. And Mr. Sam comes in, and I'm going to use my character so they'll know. So when they get the book and they see this name, Taffany Johnson, they'll know that Mr. Sam comes into Taffany Johnson's life. And it's so funny how he comes in, because after the young lady decides that, she tells Taffany that she's getting married and she can no longer do the lessons, then, Taffany is left looking for a piano teacher because, of course, her son still wants to take these music lessons. And, Taffany wants to encourage him, and she decides to ask some people, different people in the community, do you know anybody who could come to the house and give these lessons? And Mr. Sam's name kept coming up. And so finally she gets to meet Mr. Sam. And Mr. Sam is absolutely wonderful, and the children love him. And then all of a sudden, not only is Taffany and her son, one son, taking lessons, but the youngest son decides to take lessons, and the father decides to take lessons, and, so the whole family's involved in this thing. But not only that, when Taffany begins to take the music lessons, then all of a sudden she starts having these dreams again about writing, about songs, new songs that she's being given. And this is something that has occurred all through her life, that she's been given songs. But as many of us do, and I know that Taffany did it, she would hear these wonderful songs in her sleep. And, of course, if you've ever had this to happen, when you hear this wonderful song in your sleep, and then as soon as you wake up, you think, okay, I'm going to write it down in the morning. As soon as I get up in the morning, because, the songs always come to you at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. It's never at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, so you can get up and write it down when you're getting up. It's always in the wee hours of the morning. And so Taffany would always say, well, I'll write it down in the morning. When I wake up, I'm going to get up. Well, of course, when you wake up in the morning, that song is gone. You don't remember the words. You can't remember the tune. You know absolutely nothing. And so that's what was going on. But through the advent of her taking the piano lessons, she got inspired, and that's when she learned. She had another dream, and there was another song, and this was just the greatest song she had ever heard in her life. And through that, she told Mr. Sam, I had a dream, and I have this wonderful song that I want to share with you. And, of course, she shares her song. She's so excited about it. She actually takes time to sort of learn how to play it, and she shares it with Mr. Sam. And Mr. Sam says, oh, that is so nice, but he's not as enthusiastic as she thought he should be. And so she's excited, and he's very nice, and he's very polite, and he says, yes, that is very nice. That's great. And so anyway, of course, being a little bit disappointed and taken aback by him not being quite as excited, but she says, okay, well, I'm still going to pursue my song. I think he just probably is not excited because he's never heard a song as great as this one. This is really a great song. And that's where she goes and pursues it and works on it and is enthusiastic, but she doesn't really do anything with it. She just, kind of sits on it, learns to play it, and sings it for her children, sings it to the husband, and, sings it for Mr. Sam, but she really doesn't do anything with it. And one day, while working around the house, she has the radio on, and guess what comes on the radio?
That song.
It comes on the radio. And it's not exactly like her song, but it's enough that catches her attention. And then she says, oh, my God, somebody is singing my song. I can't believe it. They have my song. How did they learn my song? I didn't tell anybody. I know my husband didn't tell anybody. I know Mr. Sam didn't. My children are too young, so they didn't. How did they get my song? And so, of course, Taffany's feeling pretty indignant, and she calls the radio station, and she talks to the DJ, and she says, Mr. DJ, that is my song you're playing on the radio. And, of course, the DJ is, he's, really? And, of course, Taffany says, yes, really, that's my song. And he says, well, I didn't know you wrote songs. She said, yes, I do, and I wrote that song that you're playing. And so he says, okay. And he says, and then Taffany says, well, can you tell me who's singing this song? And when he goes and he pulls the album, and when he pulls the album and he says, okay, it's, XYZ group who's singing this song. And Taffany says, well, when did they record this? And he says, oh, well, they recorded it in 1979. And it's now about 1989. So, of course, Taffany then knows, okay, I did not write this song. how silly of me. I didn't write this. And, of course, you know how you can feel embarrassed when you have totally made a fool out of yourself. And so you have to apologize, and and the person, you say, "Oh, well, okay, I'm sorry I called you. I didn't write the song, I guess." And of course, you laugh nervously, and it's like, okay. And then it's like, now I've got to tell Mr. Sam. Now I know why Mr. Sam didn't act so enthusiastic, because Mr. Sam knew I didn't really write that song. So it's that adventure that I'm telling of going through that process, and I know other people have experienced something like that, even if it wasn't a song you've written. Maybe you have come up with a great idea for an invention, something that you have been given, but you've just been sitting on it. Maybe you didn't know what to do with it, or maybe you just were, you didn't feel like you wanted to go through the process of trying to find out how to bring that invention to the market. So you just sat on it. You didn't do the work. You didn't do the research. And then you come to find out, when you look and you see, oh, wow, they have made exactly what it was that I came up with. I came up with that idea first. Well, you may have come up with it first, but somebody else did the work, and then they got the credit.
I know. I love that story.
Mm-hmm.
I really do, because so many times I can relate to that. Something will come out and I'll go, I thought of that years ago and I didn't act on it, right? And here
Right.
somebody's done it, and there it is. And
Right.
It happens to a lot of us.
Yes, absolutely. It happens to many of us all the time. And I think it's just, that enlightening moment when it comes to you. You say, okay, Lord, now I have it. I understand. I was supposed to do something, and I didn't do what I was supposed to do. And so it actually comes to you to the point where you can then begin to say, all right, now I've got to act. I've got to, begin to take some steps. And whether that means, taking some lessons, maybe becoming more serious about, learning to play the piano. Maybe it becomes becoming more serious about your vocal training so that you can actually get up and sing, or learning how to play that instrument, or maybe it's learning how to build that car or build that aircraft, or whatever the gift is that you have been given. Then you got to put some steps into action in order to make something happen. And it doesn't happen by magic. It happens by learning how to do something, by hard work, and by learning how to do something. Sometimes it takes taking a class. Sometimes it takes becoming connected with somebody else who can help you do it. And nothing is ever done in a vacuum. So, it's all about, beginning to recognize those enlightenment moments in your life and doing something about them.
Oh, I totally agree with you. And here's another thing that I've witnessed from being around you and your family, is that you guys all come from gratitude.
Yes. Well, I think, you become very grateful. I'd like to think that I'm grateful all the time. I don't know that I always am. But I like to think that I'm very grateful for what I have, because there's so many others who don't have what I have. I may not have what other people have, but what I have, I'm thankful for. And I think that you get more when you become thankful for what you've already been given. Maybe you don't have a lot, but thank God for what it is you do have, and then you can build on that and gain more. And that's what it's all about, Be thankful for what you have, and then doors will open for you to gain more, to do more things. And so I think that's where we have to begin to settle ourselves down and say, no, I'm not like Sandy. Maybe I'm not as personable as she is. However, I have been given something, and I can work on what it is I have been given, and I can develop my skills, and I can develop myself, and I can become, even better if I put the time in, and that's what it's all about.
Amen to that. That is so true. That's another thing. We have to quit comparing ourselves to other people and be thankful for what we can do.
That's right, what we have, because we may not have what the other guy has, but we have been given something that is so special, and it's for us, and we have to develop that. That belongs to us. I wanted to say this because it is so interesting how I actually began to write this book. As I think I said to your audience earlier, I started writing. I have about 25 books probably that I have started writing through the years. And my husband always says to me, you've been talking about this book, you're going to write a book, and you've been talking about a book for 20 years, 25 years you've been writing a book, and you've done nothing. And, and I say, yes, you're right, but one day I'm going to write that book, And I've started on them. I have several that I've started. I've outlined chapters. Some of them I have written chapters. I've done numbers of things. I've done research. But I get to a certain point, and then I stop. Somehow I lose interest, and then I move on to the next thing, and then I'll pick up another one. I get another idea for a book, and I'll start on it. But yet I never finished any of them. Well, this particular time, this was last year, which this is another enlightening moment. This is for me, and we have many of them that occur in our lives, and I'm just talking about a few of them. For me, about 2 years ago, I had a flip phone. I was still in the flip phone era. And I did not think that I would ever be able to use a smartphone or an Android or any type of phone like that.
Right.
Because I thought, wow, no, I can't do that. I don't, that's too advanced for me, and I can't see the numbers, and I won't be able to, do this and all of that. So I thought, okay, I'll just have to have this flip phone. Well, in the process of, working with the Gospel Songwriters Workshop, and I think I told you that I'm a singer, so I have a CD that is out, and I did the CD project, and I needed, because people will ask me, well, how can I get your CD? Do you accept credit? Well, I would say, well, no, I don't accept credit. I could take a check or I'd take cash. Well, anyway, I just thought about the fact that, okay, maybe I can look into seeing if I can get some kind of credit card thing. Well, I met a guy, who told me, said, listen, Ms. Thompson, you can use a smartphone. You can get an iPhone. They have all of these great accessibility features, and you can do it. So he talked me into going and looking into an iPhone. Well, I got this iPhone. I called Apple. They have a wonderful program. They actually started me on some classes and taking how to operate the iPhone and all that. Well, needless to say, I got this, what do they call this, square credit card reader thing.
Yeah.
And, yes. And, man, I can do the swiping, and I can actually operate my iPhone, and I can text, and I can get on the Internet, and I can do all of these great things, with this iPhone. Well, that came to me, and I was like, oh, wow, this is so amazing. So I started, learning about Facebook, because I'd always said, I don't want to get on Facebook. I'm not on Twitter. I don't do Instagram and all these different things. Well, once I got my iPhone and I could do some of it, I started learning how to text, and then I learned about Facebook, and then I learned about Twitter. Well, in the meantime, Sandy, Reverend Raven, I happened to get on Twitter, and I saw someone on there, and this lady's name is Nikki Woods, and she happened to be the producer of the Tom Joyner in the Morning Show. Some of your listeners may know him, and some may not. But anyway, She was on the Twitter, and she says, have you ever wanted to write a book, but you didn't know how to do it, and, you got stuck and whatever? I'm going to be doing a class. I'm offering a free webinar for anyone who's interested in, writing a book, but you just didn't know what to do. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to sign up for this webinar, and I'm going to see what she has to say. And when I signed up for the webinar and I got in there and started listening, she talked about exactly some of the things that I've done, just been writing little things here and there, but I had no organization, no way to finish what it was I started. I'd stop, all of these kind of things. But she actually gave me some steps about writing and how to set a schedule and how to sort of work with your schedule and begin to outline the information and, and it sparked a fire in me. And from just listening on that little webinar, it gave me enough fire to say, I can do this. I've been toying around with it for a long time. Now it's time for me to get up and begin to do it. And so that's what I did. I started setting up a schedule, and I would get up every morning, and I'd write a little bit, and I'd, and then I'd read it back, and I'd do, and until I got to the point, it took me about a year to actually go ahead and get it all down and get to the point that I thought, okay, I think I can share this with someone. But it was through that spark, just looking on the internet, and it was just one of those things in life that I didn't know this lady. She doesn't know me personally. Hopefully one day I can meet her in person and thank her and for what she has done for me to give me that spark or, that enthusiasm to be able to do this. But we just never know how we're going to become encouraged to do something. So she was the person that really fired me up about the writing. And it took me about a year to be able to get to the point where I say, okay, now I have actually done this book, and I'm done, and I'm actually ready to put it out in the public for somebody else to read it. But that just occurred, out of what I'm calling, and they always said there's no such thing as coincidence. But it was just being on Twitter and I just happened to see her tweet. And saw that tweet, and I said, I'm going to check it out. And when I checked it out, she sparked me enough to say, okay, I think I can do this. And here we are today. And I'm talking to you.
Yes. I love it. I love it because thanks to the internet, I mean, I've been able to have guests from all over, like Cornwall, England, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, all over. And it's amazing when you open yourself, again, opening up yourself, like you were talking about earlier, and not putting limits on yourself.
Right.
And that's what I love about your book. I mean, I tell you what, I resonated with it. I felt like, oh my gosh, she can do it. I can do this. It gives you, it inspires you to move forward is what it does.
Right. And as you said, I'm very, very excited. I think it's just an accomplishment in my mind that I was able to actually complete the book. And that's something that I have not done over the past 20 years or 25 years that I've been talking about writing a book. All I've done is talk about it and jotted down a few things here and there on different books that I want to write. But this is the first time I've actually gotten to the point that I feel I have completed what I started out trying to do. And so you just never know where the inspiration will come from, but I think you just have to be open enough to say, okay, I can do that too, and go ahead and do it. I don't know, how, and I'm just talking and going on and on because I told you I get very, very excited about whatever it is that I do, but I don't know if any of your listeners or individuals who are there Skyping or they're there on the computer, or they're there on the telephone, hopefully they might be inspired by what I'm saying, and I'm not just rambling on and on and on, but hopefully it gives them some sense that, they too can do whatever it is that they put their mind to do. We're only limited, by our own thoughts and by our own actions. That's who we're limited by. Nobody can limit us. We limit ourselves.
Oh, wow. That is so true. And the reason that I do this radio program, it's not for other people per se, even though I'll say, oh yeah, I do it to help other people. I do it to help myself too.
Right. Mhm. That's
it.
That's it.
I'm sure you wrote that book to help yourself too, to move forward and get that connection with God.
Right.
To put us closer.
Exactly. It helped me. And I do understand what people say when they write books and they say it was cathartic, because it does. It helps you. I think you cannot write, maybe people do, but I'm going to say for myself, as I was writing this book, it helped me to delve into myself. I had to go places in myself and think about things and bring out other things in myself that I had not really thought about, or that I did not even know was there. It helped me to pour out those things, and I think that that's the good thing about it, when you can share. I don't think you have, I don't know that I'm a tell-all kind of person in that sense of speaking, but I think some things you're able to share with people that hopefully will resonate with them and maybe spark them to do something that they have wanted to do all along. But maybe they thought, well, I'm not smart enough to do it. I'm not linked in enough to do it. I don't know the right people. I don't know, the right, I don't have the right economic background. I don't have whatever it is that we think we don't have. We'll find that if we begin to do it and just put one foot in front of the other, we'll find that we actually have everything we need.
Oh, that is so true. That is so true, and I really appreciate the reminder. I've got a question to ask you. You sent me the table of contents to your book, right, earlier today, and there's this. Has your family read this book?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I won't ask about this one. I'll just wait and read the book then.
Yeah, actually, which is the funny thing, none of my family has read the book. My husband has not read the book. I asked him if he would like to read the book, and he says, "No, I don't want to read it. I'm going to wait until it comes out in the public." and then I'll read it. He says, because in case you say something terrible about me, I want to make sure that it's already done, and then I'll read it. So I didn't say anything terrible about him at all, but and I don't think I said anything terrible about anybody. But it's so funny that none of them read it. But I have had other friends who have read it, because I did want to make sure that what I was saying in the book, and I did ask a few people to read it because I wanted to make sure that what I was saying actually did make sense, that the stories were clear, that they were understandable, and that they did have, the points that I thought I wanted to make, that I was actually making the points within each story. So the book is set up in their individual stories, even though the stories are connected in one sense, but each story actually can stand alone as a short story. But I compiled them into a book, and the book goes from my youth all the way up to today, and so they're just little stories or little things that happened in life, and they have brought me an aha moment that I can now begin to share with individuals and say, okay, I understand why I had to go through this.
Uh-huh.
And if you have had to go through something similar to this, then I think that this will help you to begin to make some sense out of why it is you had to go through it.
Wow. I just, because one of these titles in this chapter is driving me crazy. Part 2, do you know which one I'm talking about?
The sexual.
The crazy sex story.
The crazy sex story.
Oh my God! I can't wait to read that.
It's a very funny story, but I think you'll love that one. Yeah, the crazy sex story,
but
and it is actually a very crazy story.
But I also like the part 1 where you talk about friendship, discrimination, or and forgiveness.
And forgiveness, right? And forgiveness. And as I said, I think that we all have experiences in our lives that sometimes we really don't know why we have to go through it. It would be nice if we all went through life and we had no problems and everything was absolutely wonderful. Everybody got along. Everybody loved each other. It would be absolutely wonderful. However, we don't live in that ideal society. So through these things that we experience, and we all go through, points at which we, have difficulty, or we have friendships that for whatever reason they break up, or you're no longer friends with the person. Sometimes you don't even understand why, it happened. You thought, I've been such a good friend to this person, and yet, we're no longer friends. But even in that, there's something that you're supposed to learn from that. And sometimes it's just a point of not only forgiving the person, but also forgiving yourself. Because sometimes, individuals really, they don't even know many times what they have done. They're only acting in what they have learned themselves. And so it takes some life experiences and maturity to help us to begin to recognize that, okay, maybe they were wrong, maybe I was wrong, but the forgiveness is the important thing out of all of it, that you have to learn how to forgive yourself, and you also have to learn how to forgive others. It really is important. And people, they talk about this all the time, but forgiveness is one of those freeing things that it not only frees the individual, but it frees you when you forgive.
Oh, that is so true, and I cannot. Again, those are the stories I can't wait to read. But right now, what I did is I put everybody's name in a bucket here that came to the show that I can see. We have other people that are listening that I can't see, but the ones that are on there. I took your money out of the can, but I'll put it right back. I just needed the can to do a drawing. So I'm going to purchase a book to give away from Deborah when all you're waiting on is the publish for the artwork, and then you're publishing the book, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So as soon as that comes out, I'm going to be sending one of our lucky listeners a book. So here you go, honey. Stick your hand in there and pull out a name for me. Okay, let's see who the lucky winner is. Oh my gosh, it's your mom.
My mom?
Yeah, she's listening in on the phone.
Now, is that amazing?
Yeah.
And I want your listeners to know I have nothing to do with that.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. I assume that this is your mom, Robert Keys. Is that your mom?
Yes.
Yeah, your mama. She's going to get to read the sex story. I can't wait to hear about that.
Well, As I said, I know that you can see some of the people who have signed in,
Yeah.
and I hope that I have said some things about about the book, and about my life itself, that maybe individuals will want to read the book. It should be coming out very soon. It is coming soon. They can go to my website, Sandy, and if they're interested in purchasing a copy of the book when it comes out, I would love it if they would go ahead and they can send me an email and say, hey, yes, Deborah, when the book comes out, I would like to purchase a copy of it, and I can get their name and their information. They can email me at dtomgirl, that's D as in Deborah, E as in egg, Tom, Thom, girl, GIRL, at gmail.com. So you can email me at dtomgirl@gmail.com. Give me your name and your information that you would love to get a copy of the book, to purchase a copy of the book. I plan to have it not only on the Internet so that you can download it through Amazon or Google or any one of those, Kindle and all of those other ways, but we will also have printed copies as well, and then I will also have them in CD version. So for those of you who like to pop the book in your car and listen as you're driving along, we will have the CD version of the book as well. So I want to have it in as many formats as I can possibly have. You can also go to my website, and that is www. Well, actually, I don't know if you need the www, but I'm going to say www.d, and that's D as in Deborah, E as in egg, D, singergirl.com. www.dsingergirl.com. And if you can't get it with the www, just drop the www and just type in dsingergirl.com. And you can go to my website, and you can look at, the information about the book. You can also sign up there as well. And I will have the information to let everybody know when the book is actually coming out, so that they can purchase it as well.
And we have this information, so people that are listening in, or you're listening to the podcast, I have a presentation window with the information right here with links. All you have to do is press those blue links. It'll take you to our Facebook page. You can go like our Facebook page, which is www.facebook.com/unshackled101. Again, all of this information is posted right here in this podcast for you guys that listen in the future or whatever. And you can email her directly, which we have her email address right there in the blue link too as well.
Absolutely. Sandy, I can't tell you how excited and how thankful I am that you allowed me this opportunity to speak to your audience. And tell them about my book. And I hope that many of them will, send you information and give you feedback on, and hopefully some positive feedback to say, man, Sandy, she just took over your show.
No, I love it. Your energy is just like, it's contagious. Like, and I enjoy it. I mean, it's like, wow, it's like a great friendship, right? And
Absolutely.
Darlene in the chat room saying, Deborah rocked.
Well,
rock,
thank
girl.
you so much, Darlene. And, Sandy, it's just like we have known each other for years. I mean, we met just maybe like a month or so ago, and it's like we have known each other all the time.
I know. I just love your sisters, and I love you, and I just think you guys are totally amazing, and I feel blessed every day that I know you guys. So
yes, this has been absolutely wonderful, and I thank all of your listeners who have chimed in and listened in to what I've had to say, and I pray that they will be excited enough to obtain a copy of my book as soon as it comes out. And, as I said, I poured out my heart and my soul in it, and I really think that, these are stories that I think that a lot of people will be able to relate to. And I think, like I said, there's a lesson in everything and a blessing in everything that we go through. And I think it's just that when we recognize the lesson, and then we can then begin to see the blessing.
Oh, amen. And also for our listeners that might be interested in the Gospel Workshop, the Songwriters Music Workshop, I posted a link to that website too as well.
Yes, thank you so much. We are prayerful that we will be able to do our workshop on next year. And if we have any songwriters, musicians, singers, we'd like to make it bigger and better than ever. And the only way that we won't be able to do the workshop is if I'm just on this grand tour all over, and I'm speaking it into the universe, Sandy.
Yes.
That I will be over doing book signings and doing some lectures, and I am available, for other interviews as well as book signings and as well as workshops, and if individuals would like me to come and, do speaking engagements, of course, I am available to do that as well. And
exactly.
I'm never short on words, Sandy.
No, you're a great motivational speaker. I can't wait. I can't wait to go and pay to go to one of your workshops and be a part of that process. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. I am the same, and I know, and I do plan to listen in, and thank you again. I don't know how much time we actually have, but I just want to say again, thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity to share, with the individuals that have been willing to call in and listen to what I've had to say. I really, really appreciate it. And I'm just looking forward to seeing what else the future holds.
I am too, and I hope that you will come back on the show in the future, especially after you got the book published, and and you're out doing, and you don't forget about us little people and come back on here.
Don't worry, I won't forget about anybody, because everybody is a big somebody to me, and so definitely, if you will have me back, I will feel most thankful, to be able to come back anytime. And,
I would love to have you back, because I think you're such a again, your energy is contagious. It reminds us, that we have hope. It doesn't matter what your life situation is, how old, how young, where you are in life, that you can continue on and do and follow your dreams.
Absolutely. That is never too late. And don't think you ever get too old. You're never too young. You're never too old. You're never too poor. You're never too rich in order to follow your dream.
All right. So, you guys, thank you so much, Deborah, for coming out tonight and playing with us here on Raising Vibrations Radio. I definitely, my vibration's way up there, so I'm very thankful for that. And It's all because of you tonight, so thank you. And I want to thank our listeners for coming out, and tell your mom I'm going to get that book. I'm going to get the book for her, okay?
All right, I'll let her know. That is so funny that would happen.
I know, right?
As we said there, things happen for a reason. It is so interesting. So,
yeah. Mm-hmm. And she hung up right after that, too. She's gone.
Well, thank you so much, Sandy. Thank you all. God bless you. We really appreciate it, and we will be listening out. And, Sandy, we will definitely, I don't know whether they call you Reverend Raven. You know how you
can call me anything you want to. You can call me anything you want to. It doesn't matter.
All right. I love you all, and you all have a blessed and wonderful evening.
All right. Thank you. Thank you guys so much. And be sure to join us next Monday night when we have author John Norseman on. Everyone have a good night. Thanks for joining us. Bye now.